Ethics is a fascinating area. In Europe, we believe very strongly in the rights of an individual, and the individual has been attacked in many cultures. And what we are trying to do is to ensure that where people have to make decisions, they make them in an informed way. And that includes everybody, from politicians all the way through academic scientists. So ethics is important to allow our society to respect the individual. And that's what it's about now in Europe. It may be different in other cultures. There are many different aspects of society which we as individuals don't understand. So we have to place our trust in those arguably who do. Now, if we're saying that people need to trust those who have responsibility for making decisions which they don't understand, then we have to place a great deal of, we're using the word trust, I'll use it again, we have to place a great deal of trust in the ethical behavior of those who have that responsibility. Our society is much too complex for each individual to understand everything that's happening around them. Without trust, the society will break down. So we have to ensure that those who hold the knowledge which impacts on people's lives are trustworthy. And that's something that we're finding is not that easy. We have to place a responsibility on all who hold those sorts of positions to ensure that they're aware of the trust we're placing in them. And too often, that trust is misplaced. I mentioned in the talk that I gave about this company called Equifax, which has been hacked and lost 150 million records about people which were not encrypted and which gave information about people. They lost their right to privacy. To me, that is almost a capital offense. I think that company deserves to have lost the trust. It should disintegrate, it should disappear. We had a company in South Africa this last few weeks who called Bell Pottinger, who had tried to break apart South African society by talking about white monopoly capital. That company has gone into administration last week because it was shown what they had done was so unethical. And I'm pleased to say that they've gone into administration. KPMG, another company, was supposed to audit various companies in South Africa, and again, they didn't audit them properly. And again, half the senior partners in the South African version of KPMG have been sacked this week. We have to have mechanisms in place to get rid of those who do not keep our confidence, keep our trust. So we do have remedies, but it's saying that we also have problems in our society in achieving what is necessary to protect individuals. Every individual, and I mean every individual, has privacy, B, has information about others. And it is each individual's responsibility to ensure that that's what we do is ethical when it applies to other people. What we do for ourselves is our problem. What we do in relation to others is something that we have a responsibility to ensure is done in the most ethical way possible. And that applies to research. By definition, much of research involves access to information about others, or treating animals in a way which is respectful. And I think slowly but surely, every individual, and particularly every scientist, has to become aware of the implications of what they're doing now, and where their research may impact on something they haven't thought about for the future. So even the mathematician, who would normally be abstract, may have responsibility and should think about, what can my research be used for? Could it harm people? Could it benefit people? And that sort of thing is something we have to address. There's so many examples of scientists who have failed to ensure that their work is responsible. Not everybody. Very often it doesn't matter. But there's little things. I mean, I'll take a trivial example. A scientist who wants to move a gene from one organism to another. And he says, well, the easiest gene to move into wheat is one from a pig. It's just because it's easy to get it from the pig. It's easier than to get it from a cow or from a mushroom. That scientist hasn't thought about the implications for those who are, let's say, pious Muslims in eating wheat which contains a pig gene. It may or may not impact on whether they can eat wheat, but the fact that they've chosen to take it from a pig implies a lack of thought, and that's, I think, where we need to be very careful indeed. It could have been taken from something that wouldn't offend. The new £5 note in England contains a little bit of animal fat. Vegans are objecting. Fair enough. Why could the people who designed that note not have thought about that before the note went into circulation? Now they say they can't change it, but it would have been trivial to take the fat from somewhere else. And these are examples of how science is causing harm and distress.